Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sabbath to all of us. Thank you, Rain, for the special music, and to our Malolos brethren, welcome to uh, Big Sun for this Sabbath service. Okay, I don't know, but I'm feeling nervous today. Maybe because we have the three ministers present. Oh, just kidding. But anyway, the title of this message is "Don't Quit." Okay, so I'm not quitting speaking here today. Anyway, just recently while browsing through Facebook, okay, pag may time, nag-browse ako ng Facebook, I came across a poem I have not read in a very long while. Okay? It was posted by a high school friend who is about 2 or 3 years younger than me. Okay? The poem is quite remarkable because at one point in my life, it somehow provided an inspiration or perhaps a nudge. Okay? I needed to stay on course in life. Okay? So maraming pinagdadaanan sa buhay. You just wanted to quit. Diba? And somehow, when I read the poem, parang sabi, okay, just go on. I read the poem for the first time when I was in third year high school. Okay, so don't ask me how long ago was that. Okay, third year high school po ako noon. And I instantly liked the poem. Okay, I instantly liked the poem. I'd like to share the poem with all of you today. And hopefully, you will like it too. It is entitled Don't Quit by John Greenleaf Whittier. Are you familiar with this poem? How many are familiar with this poem? Okay, so we'll go through it. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, are you familiar with Murphy's Law? The one that says, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Okay? Kahit anong plano, okay? Kahit na pinag-isipan mo ng mabuti, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Okay, and we experienced that. Diba? Parang ako nung college, I experienced that. For the first time, I tasted a grade of 5. Meaning, fail. Okay? I failed when I was in college. Okay? So, meron kaming isang poem pa dyan eh. Di ko lang kung sino sulat, pero it's quite, let's say, creative. Ganito yung poem. I think I shall never see a grave as lovely as a 3. Okay? Kasi kapag naka-tres ka na, it's a cause for celebration. Di ba? Pasado ka eh. Malapit ka na sa bangin. 3. Hooray! Okay? So, ganun kami nun. Masaya na kami sa 3. Okay? When the road you're trudging seems all uphill, okay? The road is not flat. Okay? And you have to exert effort. Have you tried hiking? Hiking, di ba? Napakahirap umakyat ng bundok. You have to exert effort. Right? When the funds are low and the debts are high, okay? Walang pera. Baon sa utang. Okay? Para ako, pag tinitingnan ko yung aking amortization, parang sabi ko, parang hindi nababawasan ah. Every month, okay? Ang laki-laki na binabayad natin. Okay? Parang hindi nababawasan yung amount. Okay? Parang niloko atat ng bangko ah. Joke lang yun. And you want to smile, but you have to sigh. Daan mo lang sa buntong hininga, di ba? Sa malalim na buntong hininga. Okay? Gusto mo mag-smile, pero biglang nagiging ganon. Okay? When care is pressing you down a bit, okay? Madaming inisip na problema. Okay? Hindi mo alam kung saan ilalagay yung problema. May paparating, hindi mo alam kung saan ilalagay sa yung isipan. Okay? Rest if you must, sabi doon, but don't you quit. Okay? Pahinga daw pag may time, but huwag kang bibitaw. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. Okay? And many of failure comes about when he might have won had he stuck it out. If we had just hang on, we could have prevailed. But we learned it too late. Okay? Kung sana, we just stuck it out, okay, we would have succeeded. Don't give up, though the pace seems low. You might succeed with another blow. In other words, be patient. Just keep moving on. Okay? Hindi natin alam, malay mo, sa susunod na galaw mo, you will succeed. Success is failure turned inside out. Okay? True, isn't it? If you succeed, then you don't fail. Diba? It's failure averted. The silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you can never tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. Okay? So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. Okay? So I hope you find the poem remarkable or beautiful. I mean, it can motivate anyone to not give up. Don't you think so? And on this note, we do find that the Bible is replete with stories of people who did not give up on God, or simply did not give up on something that they believe in was right with God. Okay? For example, Daniel did not give up praying to God as was his habit, just because the king, okay, issued an edict that no man should pray to any god except the king for a period of 30 days. Okay? For context, this was after the other satraps, so Daniel was set over 120 or so satraps. They connived against Daniel to try to put him down and find anything that they could exploit but could not. Okay? So hinapan nila ng butas si Daniel. But they could not find anything that they could bring to the king. Okay? Because he was a man of integrity and was highly dependable. So he was honest. Okay? He knows what he was doing. Okay, so the king was pleased with him. They only saw one opening, one thing, okay, that they could use against him. And that is with regards to his religious conviction. Okay? It was with regards to his faith. And so we pick up the story in Daniel chapter 6, verses 6 to 9. Let's turn to Daniel chapter 6, verses 6 to 9. Okay, let me go there. Daniel chapter 6, verses 6 to 9. So the administrators and the satraps went as a group to the king and said, O King Darius, live forever. The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce a decree that anyone who prays to any god or man during the next 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Okay? Sabi nila, kung sino man ang tao, okay, na mahuli, nagdadasal sa ibang Diyos o sa ibang tao maliban sa iyo, sabi nila, they appeal, okay, to his, let's say, vanity, okay, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Now, O king, verse 8, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered. So they wanted to make sure that Daniel, okay, would die. So sabi nila, put it in writing so that it cannot be altered in accordance with the laws of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. Pinirmahan na ng hari, hindi na yung pwedeng i-rescind or bawiin. So King Darius put the decree in writing. Okay. Now it's very interesting what Daniel did after learning the decree. Verse 10. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. Okay? 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God just as he had done before. Okay? Did he suddenly develop a fear, okay, of the king's edict? Sabi niya, lagot na. Pag nahuli akong nagdadasal, okay, I'd be thrown into the lion's den. But did he quit? Did he give up? Of course, he did not. Okay? He simply did as he had done before. And of course, we all know the story after that. He was thrown into the lion's den. But for his faithfulness, okay, he was rescued by God because, okay, of his faithfulness, and did not give up praying to the eternal true God. Okay? Now, if there's a lesson to that, it's this: never give up praying to God, no matter what. Okay? No matter what the circumstances that we face in life, never give up praying to God. Okay? Life is a roller coaster ride, as the poem we have read earlier basically describes. So we need to rely on God every time. Okay? We have to rely on God every time. Life can be difficult, diba? Even for a truly converted Christian, it is very difficult. So let's talk about it a little bit more. The Christian experience. The Christian experience is replete with challenges, sufferings, trials, problems. You would agree with me on that, don't you? Or whatever that makes life unpleasant for us for a time. Okay? Life is not always a bed of roses. Okay? It's not. There are thorns thrown into it. Okay? And sometimes they just pierce us real bad. And we get cut and bleed. Right? Pag natusok tayo ng thorn, diba? We bleed. Okay? What we do afterwards is really up to us. Okay? It's either we get up, bind our wounds, be healed over time, or allow the bleeding to continue. It's a choice we have to make. Okay? Christ himself said that our lives as Christians will not be easy. Let's go to John chapter 16 and verse 33. John chapter 16 and verse 33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. Okay? But take heart, I have overcome the world. So Christ is preparing us. Okay? Managing our expectations, so to speak. But at the same time, reassuring us we have peace in Christ because He has overcome the world. Okay? We just have to look up to Him. Okay? To follow His example. Okay? So it's also overcome the world. Now the word trouble here can also mean, according to Strong's Hebrew and Greek dictionaries, the third edition, affliction, anguish, burden, persecution, tribulation, trouble. Okay. So it is not a very pleasant experience at all. Diba? Where is pleasant in affliction? Where is pleasant in persecution? Where is pleasant in tribulation? None. Right? But that is what is expected of a Christian life. The lives of the early Christians are a reflection of that statement. The disciples and apostles certainly underwent such trouble. Okay? Many of them did. Okay? Stephen's experience fit into that category. And we can read this story from Acts chapter 6, beginning Acts chapter 6, verse 8, up to chapter 7 and verse 60. We will not go through the entire passage. Okay? But I encourage you to read them when you get back home. He was martyred for Christ. Okay? A very young man died early for his faith. He was martyred for Christ. And then we read in Acts chapter 8 and verse 1. Acts chapter 8 and verse 1. Okay, let me go there to Acts chapter 8 and in verse 1. And Saul was there giving approval to his death. Okay. So there was this man named Saul, who we later know as Paul. giving approval to the death of Stephen. Okay. On that day, continuing, a great persecution broke out against the church at Jerusalem, and all, except the apostles, were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. So here was the trouble spoken of, persecution coming to them early on. Okay. So this was a terrible time for the early Christians. Okay. They had to literally flee for their lives. Okay. As in they had to run for their lives. Now the man named Saul, basa natin kanina, persecuted the church. Okay. In verse 3 of Acts chapter 8, same chapter, let's continue with verse 3. But Saul began to destroy the church. Ang ginawa niya? Going from house to house, he dragged off men and women and put them in prison. So that was how Paul was zealous, okay, against the early Christians. He dragged off men and women, okay, and put them in prison. But something happened to him on his way to Damascus to further his objective of destroying the church. As you can read in Acts chapter 9 in verses 1 to 22. Again, we will not go there, but take down all those verses, those passages, and read them, okay, later on. And that's something that happened to him that changed everything for him. He came to his senses when the Lord confronted him. The persecutor now became the persecuted. One of the persecuted. Because he became one of Christianity's staunchest practitioner and defender. So there was a complete turnaround for Paul. Okay? Because of his newfound faith, he had experienced trouble. Just as Christ said. Okay? He himself experienced persecution. Okay? In fact, he underwent so many things. One would wonder how he was able to endure them. Well, one thing I do know, he did not quit. He did not run away from being a Christian. Okay? And Paul narrates some of those troubles he encountered when he was reasoning out with the Corinthian brethren about certain men who were trying to lead them astray. Okay? Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 11 in verses 23 to 28. Ano sabi ni Paul? Referring to those supposedly servants of Christ. Are they servants of Christ? Sabi ni Paul. I am out of my mind to talk like this. Okay? Para ayaw sanang iukatin ni Paul itong mga sabihin niya. Okay? I am more, sabi niya. I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, and been exposed to death again and again. Okay? So he was narrating what he underwent. Verse 24. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. Okay, so ang sakit nun. Okay, 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. Okay? So binibilang pala niya kung ilang beses siyang na-stone, na-shipwreck. Okay? How he spent a night, a day in the open sea. I have been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my own countrymen, in danger from Gentiles. Parang kahit sinong kausapin niya, he's always in danger. Okay? Gentiles, fellow Jews, he was in danger. In danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea. Kahit saan mapunta, he is always in danger. Okay? And in danger from false brothers. Siguro ito yung pinaka-masakit doon. In danger from false brothers. Hindi niya alam kung yung kausap niya, tunay bang Kristiyano o hindi. Okay? I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst and have often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. Sabi niya. Besides everything else, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Okay, so aside from this, sabi ni Paul, he had to think about what's happening in Galatia, in Colossus, Ephesus, okay, Corinth. So marami siyang iniisip. But did he quit? He did not. So these are just sample narratives of the personal experiences of two well-known Christians. What about us? Tayo. Our experiences may not be as dramatic as theirs. Okay? Siguro kung ako yung dadaan sa pinagdaanan ni Paul, I honestly don't know. Mahirap yung pinagdaanan niya. Okay? Our experiences may not be as dramatic as theirs, but nevertheless, not less unique. Okay? Some of us had to deal with severe illnesses. Okay? Marami pong may sakit sa atin. Some of us had to face the hard reality of losing very dearly loved ones. Okay? Perhaps missing them from time to time. It happens. Okay? Some had to face very difficult choices. Some had to lose jobs just to keep in faith with God, to observe His annual Sabbath or the weekly Sabbaths. Some had to turn down prospective job offers so as to keep the weekly Sabbath. I know some have that experience. Some have to deal with relationship challenges with their own families or relatives, okay, because of our faith. Some had to deal with financial difficulties. Okay. We all have these differing circumstances. Whatever it was, we had to deal with them. Right? Hindi naman pwedeng takbuhan ng mga yun eh. We can't run away from them. Right? Well, let me ask you a straightforward question. Have those trials or troubles ever led us to think about quitting as a Christian? I mean, it seems the easy way out. Right? Losing a job because of Sabbath keeping may not be an option, especially if you have a family to support. Diba, ikaw lang yung sole breadwinner. Okay? Your family depends on you. Okay? What about Sabbath keeping? Stopping fighting altogether seems a good, sensible action if we are on a very tight budget. Sayang din yung 10%. Diba? Pandagdag na lang sa allowance ng aking mga anak. Or yung second tithe, sayang din yung another 10%. Okay? Pandagdag na lang sa araw-araw na gastusin. Diba? Or perhaps consider eating unclean meats or seafoods is a viable option if we want to save money. Especially if we're living with family members who do not share faith. Imbis na bumili ka ng ibang ulam, baka or manok. Diba? Sayang din yun, diba? Ito na lang. Let's share together. Diba? Ito na, bili natin. Sayang din yan, diba? Pandagdag din sa ibang gastusin yan. It's a common. I mean, parang, kumbaga, isipin natin, it's a common sense. Viable option. Okay? These considerations are practical from a human point of view, isn't it? Tama? Kasi minsan nasasabihin ako, huwag ka lang mag-tithe. Sayang din yan eh. Diba? Don't give to your church. Bakit? Sayang lang yan. Okay? It's just saying, quit and pursue another path. Okay? The one that is not uphill. Where you don't have to exert effort. Okay? Where you would easily blend in. Where you don't have to struggle that much. Diba? Napakadaling bumalik. Okay? Blend in with the rest of the world. But, should we? Okay? Should we? The obvious answer is, of course, a resounding no. Never. Never. Okay? Yes, it is very obvious. It is so difficult to be a true Christian in an increasingly evil world. Okay? The times are getting evil. But exactly there lies the opportunity for us to show that we are the light of the world. Okay? We are the salt of this earth. Do we find it very difficult to forgive someone from our very hearts? Okay? Don't give up on that just yet. It takes time and yes, constant reminder and practice. Remember, it's when things seem worse that you must not quit. Ayaw ko nang patawarin to. Hirap na ako. Pagod na ako. Okay? Don't quit. Okay? Just go on. Do we find it very difficult to reconcile with a loved one who caused us so much pain? Okay, sinaktan niya ako ng todo-todo. Ayaw ko nang patawarin to. I cannot reconcile with that person. Pangalan pa lang niya, na high blood na ako. Anino pa lang niya, alam ko nang siya yun. Okay? Lalayo na ako, di ba? Don't quit loving him or her anyway. You never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So close, and yet so far away. To loving him or her fully. Do we find it very difficult to overcome a really bad habit that affects our relationships with family, colleagues, friends, or brethren? Okay? You have this nasty habit, and you know it, but you still keep doing it. Okay? Don't lose heart. Okay? Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Okay? Just go on. Alam mo naman eh. You just have to exert effort to overcome it. Okay? Being a Christian is indeed a challenge in this modern age. Okay? The things we learn from the Bible such as love, kindness, humility, generosity, and selfishness, these are all ideals. Okay? Magandang pakinggan, magandang pag-aralan. But they can all be easily gobbled up by the harsh realities we face in the real world. The moment we step out of this room, the world is ready to gobble us if we don't fight it. Okay? Paglabas pa lang natin yan, kukuyugin na tayo. Okay? Kaya kailangan nating lumaban. Okay, the world can sometimes be very indifferent, very cold. Walang pakialam sa'yo, di ba? Our fellow men could be so insensitive, very selfish in the pursuit of their own goals or objectives, their own selfish agendas. Okay? So they don't care kung sino ang sagasaan nila. But this does not give us any reason to give up on being a true Christian. Okay? We should continue doing good, okay? Kahit mahirap. Okay? And here are some reminders from Paul's letter to the Roman church that we should continue doing. Okay? These are just reminders. There are a lot of other things from the Bible that you can pick up, okay, to continue doing. So I'll just be using this for the purpose of this message. Romans chapter 12, starting with verse 9. Love must be sincere. Hate, that's a very strong word, what is evil. Cling to what is good. What we believe in will never be popular with the rest of the world. Never. Okay? Don't expect that the world will accept whatever we practice. Okay? At least for now. That's why we struggle against it. Okay? Given this reality, we should stick to what is right before God. Notice the strong verb used. Cling. Cap it. Cling to what is good. That's much as saying attach ourselves to what is good and doing good. Okay? Cling to what is good. Verse 10. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. We should think of the welfare of our brethren too, and others. Okay? This way we are reminded that we are all part of the same family, and that we should do good to all of the brethren. Okay? We should not become tired in doing so. Okay? Baka sabihin natin, nakapagod naman tong kapatid kong to. Okay? Nakapagod na ako sa pagmamahal sa kanya, hindi naman niya ako sinusuklian. Okay? We should still love that person, that brother. Verse 11. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. And that, I think, is precisely what we need to have daily. We should always have that passion, that fire in the belly, so to speak, to keep our spirits up, serving God. Okay? Zealousness, guided by wisdom, in serving God, in doing what is good, daily. Okay? We need that. This way, we do not break when faced with the onslaught of life's ordeals. Okay? Kahit na anong problema, okay lang yan. We should have that fervor to serve God. It is our zeal in doing good that will play a vital role in us continuing to do good. Okay? So don't quit. Verse 12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Now this can be pretty tough to continue doing. Okay? Joyful in hope. Paano kapag yung hope mo seems unrealizable? Parang hindi naman pwede mangyari. Tagal-tagal ko nang hinuhope to. Diba? Wala naman nangyayari. Okay. Can we stay joyful while hoping? We don't have to give up. Let's keep the hope alive. Can we be patient in affliction and not quit? Okay. Obviously, it's very difficult. What if it is too much? Sunod-sunod. Okay? Sabay-sabay. Okay? Then we can do as advised next. Faithful in prayer. So we should continue praying to God, asking for help. But then again, that can also be problematic if we think that our prayers are not answered. Paano kung parang hindi sinasagot ang ating mga prayers, ang ating mga requests sa Diyos? How do we deal with that? Okay? I think we should remember that God answers our prayers according to what is good for us long term. Okay? Minsan, yung sagot, hindi natin inaasahan na yun ang sagot. Okay? Minsan, sabihin, wag muna. Then later on, in life, you realize your prayers have just been answered. Not just the way you expected it to be answered, okay, but the way God sees it according to how it would benefit you. Right? Sometimes the answer is no. Why? Because it will only harm you. It will only harm us. So why would God give something that would harm us? Right? Now, as Daniel had shown, we should be faithful in prayer. It was the first thing he did when he learned of the edict. Okay? He knew he could die if he continued obeying God. So, he sought help from God. He prayed to Him. Verse 13. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Now, this is something I know we as a church do. Okay? Especially to those who are in need of financial assistance. To help cover, for example, medical expenses for illnesses or for some other expenses. Okay? And I do remember that we as a church also would also chip in to help brethren who are affected by natural disasters. Now, I'm not saying this to brag that we are doing this, but rather to encourage everyone to continue doing it because it is good for the brethren. Okay? And that it pleases God. Okay? This is not about bragging. Okay? It's just encouraging everyone to continue doing it, to continue helping any way we can. Okay? So we do this. Okay? And the appeal that we can get from Paul's advice is this: let us continue to help with whatever we can help the brethren with. Let's go to verse 14. Bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Now this is Paul mirroring what our Lord himself said. But it is honestly very difficult to do. Okay? If we don't have the proper attitude, it is easy to just give up and do as the rest of the world does. Get even, curse back, punch back. Sinuntok mo ako, susuntukin din kita. Okay? Ininsulto mo ako, insulto rin ako. That would be easier to do, right? In fact, it does not require any effort to do that. Does it? Okay. What requires effort is this: holding back ourselves from doing it and actually saying a blessing on them or asking God to bless them also. It's not enough now you hold yourself. You also have to ask God to bless them. Easy? No. But don't quit. Right? And I'm certain many would laugh at us even just trying to suggest that we actually do this. Bless our persecutors. Pagtatawanan lang tayo. Okay? Kung sabihin natin, oh, I bless you. Okay? But don't quit anyway. Now we drop down to verse 21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So what does this passage imply? We can be overcome by evil if we stop doing what is good. If we quit being a Christian, okay, a vacuum would exist in us. Okay? And undesirable attitudes can find their way in our hearts and minds if we are not careful. So how do we prevent this from happening? By constantly doing good, by daily overcoming ourselves and the wrong influences of society, by continuing to be a Christian, by not giving up, by not quitting. And I will read the rest of the in-between passages sa Romans, okay, chapter 12, verse 9, in-between passages, for you to think about, meditate on for the rest of the Sabbath, or perhaps when you go home. Okay? See how it helps us in doing good every time. Now, so as not to think about quitting at all, as a Christian I think there are two important things that we should remember. And these are, number one, we support each other. Number two, God will always be there for us. Okay? If we consider these things, I think we'd all be refreshed and not think about giving up on our faith, not stopping doing good, not quitting when times are really tough and rough. Okay? Number one, we support each other. Now, this might sound a tired expression to others. Oh, we all know that. Diba? Alam na namin yan. But there's a lot of value in this, so we do not lose a brother or sister. It's frustrating, really, to know certain people personally. Kilala mo, kinakasalamuhan mo, and then that person just drops out of the race. He quit or she quit. It's frustrating. We are each other's keeper. Okay? I have an obligation to help you when you need help in whatever form I can. In the same manner, you have an obligation to me to help me when I need help. It's as much as you are obligated to help others. Okay, so in other words, tulungan. Okay. We are obligated to help one another, to support each other as we all travel towards God's kingdom together. Hindi po kanya-kanya. Okay. We travel as a group. Okay. No one leaves a man or woman behind. Walang iwanan. Yun ang sinasabi natin. And at this point, I'd like to share with you a very good advice from our pastor. When we, yung si Vanessa and I, sought counseling before marriage. Okay? He gave us a very good advice. He said to us, among many other things, bring each other to the kingdom. And I think that's a very, very good advice. Okay? That one really stood out. It stuck in my mind. Okay? And I believe it is as much applicable to all of us. O, hindi ko naman asawa yan eh. Bakit ko dadaling yan? Diba? Sa kaharian ng Diyos, balas sa buhay niya. It's not. Okay? We should bring each other to the kingdom of God. Okay? If we see someone caught in a fault or weakness or sin, tao lang kasi, di ba? Nagkakamali. Hindi pa iwasan. Here's what Paul says in Galatians chapter 6 verses 1 to 2, and it was read earlier, I think, Galatians chapter 6 in verses 1 to 2. Brothers, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual, you are more spiritually discerned or discerning, should restore him gently. But watch yourself, or you also may be tempted. Verse 2. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Carry each other's burdens. May problema ang kapatid mo, tulungan. May problema ka, pwede kang tulungan ng iba, di ba? What is this passage saying? If we by chance catch someone doing wrong, then it is up to us to gently restore him in the faith. Okay? We should not be judgmental when we go talk to the person in private. If a person suddenly stops observing the Sabbath because of work, then perhaps we can help the person find a better job that allows for Sabbath observance. And I know some of us are doing that. Okay? Or perhaps you can help strengthen the person's faith so he won't quit observing the Sabbath. I know many of us are doing that. Okay? The important thing is we understand our brother or sister and extend help. Okay? We understand where he's coming from. Okay? And then we act accordingly. And Paul on one occasion urged the Ephesian brethren to always pray for the saints. In Ephesians chapter 6 verse 18. That's the next book after Galatians chapter 6 and in verse 18. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. Okay? All kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for the saints that I love. The saints that I get along with. Does it say there? No. For all the saints. Okay. Regardless of church affiliation. It's just a human organization. The body of Christ is just one whole church. Okay? We are the members of that one body. Okay? So for all the saints. Now if someone comes to us, and opens up some personal things with us, please do not forget to include him or her in our personal prayers. Okay? So that our brother or sister can sort things out and do what is right. So he won't quit. Right? Kung may problema ng tao, lumapit sa iyo, please include him. God, please help that person. So he won't drop out. He won't quit. Okay? In the same manner, we encourage the brethren doing some good things we see to continue doing so. Nakita natin, ang ganda ng ginagawa ng kapatid kong ito. Encourage him. Encourage her. Okay? If someone shares his or her talent, encourage her or him to share more of it. Diba? Maganda ginagawa mo, kapatid. Okay? Pwede bang dalas-dalasan natin ang iyong special music? Okay? Ganun. This is what Paul said to the Thessalonian brethren. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 in verse 11. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 11. Therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Encourage one another, build each other up, do not tear down each other. Okay? Hindi po ito pagalingan. We should encourage one another. Diba? Ang sinasabi ni Paul, ganun. Second, God is for us. Okay? Much as I like the poem that we have read earlier, I think there's one vital ingredient missing into that. Okay? God is out of the picture. Okay? Mas maganda sana kung nandun ang Diyos sa picture. Okay? For us to really stay the course in being a Christian, I would like to invite you to this passage. I always find comforting. It's found in Romans chapter 18, verse 31. Romans chapter 8, verse 31. What then shall we say in response to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? Think about it. Whatever trial we are facing today, whether illness, financial difficulties, okay, problems with overcoming our weaknesses, relationship difficulties, or work-related challenges, these are nothing if we surrender to God's will and allow Him to direct our paths so we can finally overcome these hurdles. Okay? Submit ourselves to God. Submit to His will. God will always be there for us. We have to remember that God deeply loves us and cares about us. Okay? He wants to help us with the things we are having difficulties with in our Christian lives, so we don't give up. Okay? Being a Christian. God has a goal of developing godly character in us and allows trials in our lives so we develop that character, so we become like Him. Okay? But He sees to it that He will be there for us. Okay? So we don't quit as Christians. He will be there for us to guide us. Okay? And make your stories successful. Paul asks in the same chapter, verse 35, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble, or hardship, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or danger, or sword? Shall these things separate us from the love of Christ? And he answers in verse 37, no. In all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. We are conquerors of whatever it is that we are facing. We are not quitters, yung nagsasabi niyan. For I am convinced that neither death, nor life, neither angels, nor demons, neither the present, nor the future, nor any powers, neither height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that's in Christ Jesus our Lord. Okay? Nothing can make us fail. If God is for us, who can be against us? Diba? In other words, we stay close to God and He will stay with us until we have weathered all those storms that we encounter in life. So we don't quit on Him, and He definitely will not quit on us. Stay the course. Okay? Trust God at all times. So to conclude, the Christian life, with all its twists and turns, is a beautiful journey. Okay? We learn a lot. Hitting bumps and occasional obstacles is part of it. It's par for the course. Okay? But would you quit if you happen to be in that place now? No. I know you better. The truth is, I think you are as tough a nail can be, or even tougher. Okay? You are diamonds in the rough. Okay? Just being polished by God. Okay? And what gives me the confidence to say so? Lakas ng loob ko, no? Sabi ng ganun. What gives me that confidence? It is fairly simple to me. You are still here in the church. Marami kayong pinagdaanan, yet you are still here. Not just attending for the sake of attending. Are we? I think it is a deeper commitment to God that you all have made. You have that commitment to God that you will finish the course no matter what. That you will finish the race no matter what. Despite the real struggles out there, you are still here. We are still here. Okay. Or perhaps you just don't realize it, but you are all hanging tough. You're all hanging tough. So continue doing so. You're not quitters, are you?